Welcome to the Pioneer Sideline. I'm your host, Aaron Cooney, episode 148, inching ever closer to that 150 mark here for the Pioneer Sideline, the longest running show on YouView television just for you. So we're going to open it up things with volleyball. They were on the road on their yearly trip to Florida, taking part in the Clearwater Christian Invitational Tournament. And in their first match, getting things done early on, 3-0, taking out Michigan of Dearborn. You see in the sets winning 25-8, 25-20, 25-19. Later on in that day, their second match on Friday, October 5th, Point Park gets another win, taking on a Northwood team from Florida, 25-14, 25-12, and 25-7. Point Park raising their record to 18-4, 4-1 still in the KIAC. All these matches, of course, out of conference for the Invitational Tournament. So after the first day of play, Point Park 2-0, we're going to bring in Teresa Davis here, our resident volleyball analyst. And Teresa, first day, I mean, the competition really wasn't there, and Point Park really showed that they were really the better team in this tournament.
Yeah, I expected them to come in and just make it beneficial to go down to Florida, but it seemed like these teams weren't that much of a competition for Point Park. It seemed like the skill set was just too much for those teams to handle, and I expected more from the next two teams, which is what they got to.
You're exactly right. And the next day on Saturday, Point Park, two more matches to finish up that tournament. And again, another one, probably their biggest competition was on Saturday, taking on the host team in Clearwater Christian. Very solid team. Took Point Park to 5 sets, and in that fifth set and deciding set, Point Park just dominant, 15-4, just ran right through that one on their way to the victory. And then later on in the afternoon, after already clinching the tournament, Point Park gets another win, 3-0, taking on a Florida Memorial team. And that one was really no contest, 25-8, 25-9, and 25-18. But Point Park taking the foot off the gas, maybe a little bit there. But goes undefeated in that tournament. 4 wins between Friday and Saturday, Teresa. And looking back at that Clearwater game, and they're a pretty solid team with a record of 18-3, or 22-4, I should say, after that loss to Point Park. But really, Pioneers went down and did work for what they had to do.
Yeah, and we expected Christian Clearwater to just come out strong against Point Park, but I don't think they knew what to expect, and that's why it went to 3-2. But if you look at the tournament for Point Park, during set-wise, they were 12-2. So Christian Clearwater were, or Clearwater Christian, sorry, were the only ones that gave them trouble. And it was just a very good experience for Point Park to get that break in the middle of their season, coming down here, team bonding, and it was a good thing for Point Park.
Well, you've talked about this before last week, but what does Point Park, what can they take away from this? Having that trip to Florida, they got a couple days off now. They got about a week off till their next match. What does a trip like that do to unify a team?
Well, it's always good. I mean, I take it, for example, for basketball and softball, we have spring training down in Florida. And it's always good to get away from Pennsylvania, different state, different atmosphere, different teams, and you get to bond with your team better. And you get to learn how they do off the court as well as on the court. And it's good. It was good for Point Park to experience that.
Point Park now 14 matches left on this season, and Teresa, really, this is probably about the midway point here for Point Park with this tournament down in Florida. 14 matches left. They still got some conference play to go. What do they have to do? Change things around and really step on the gas and finish strong? Well,
the second half of their schedule is going to be really tough. If you look at, just looking at the schedule, 3 of those teams are in the top 25. You see Lee at number 6, Lee University. Then you have Taylor at 20. Number 20, and then Georgetown's at 16. So let's just take a look at that. The weekend of October 26th, they start on Friday with Lee University, and then they go to Indiana Tech that same day. Then they wake up the next morning on Saturday, and they play Taylor and Georgetown. I mean, those are 4 big games that they have to come out strong against these teams, and they're road games. So basically, it's going to be a test for Point Park on how well they come prepared to play. And all I know is they cannot come out and play like they did against Fairmont State. I mean, they came out like a totally different team. They just need to come prepared.
And when you take a look at the standings, Point Park right now sitting at number 3, Teresa. Both Indiana teams sitting above them, Indiana East and Indiana Southeast. Indiana East undefeated 6-0 in the conference, and Indiana Southeast 5-1. Point Park right behind them 4-1, and they're going to see Indiana Southeast later on this month on the 20th, and then they'll visit Cincinnati Christian, who's one step below them at the 4th place in the conference on November 3rd. But conference matchups, you talked about the auto conference and how tough that was, but how are they going to fare here in the conference with the few big games coming up?
Well, Indiana East and Indiana Southeast will give them trouble, but like I said, they really have to just prepare themselves. As long as they come out strong, that's a weak spot on this team. They come out almost over-prepared, like they're not quite sure what to expect. They just think they're just going to play their game, which is good. Like they should play their game in any situation, but sometimes they come across those teams that, such as Indiana Southeast, that just they take control and they're not prepared for that. So as long as they come out and they communicate, and which is a big mistake on Point Park's part, then I think they'll be okay. I think they can come out strong in this conference, and just as long as they're prepared.
14 games left for the Pioneers. They're off until Saturday. And that'll do it for us here at Volleyball. Teresa Davis, great job. Thank you, as always, for joining us here. We'll be back. Take a break. Matt Desmond joins us at the desk, talk about soccer. We'll be back.